Hi drummers, hope you're well, right? The 8 most important drum beats you'll ever learn are, in my opinion, number 1, the straight 8s feel, number 2, the triplet feel, number 3, the 16th note feel, number 4, the shuffle, number 5, the halftime shuffle, number 6, disco feel, number 7, reggae 1 drop, and number 8, a swing or jazz type of feel, right? I'm going to play the very basic groove and a very basic feel in each of these feels. Here it comes. So the straight 8s feel, that classic, regular, straight ahead rock or pop feel that we know and love. Goes like this. At least I hope you know and love that one by now. That's all about playing dead straight, kick, snare, and variations on that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the hi-hat driving along on the 8th notes is where most of us start when we play a beat on the drums, isn't it? So that lovely, delicious, straight 8th note feel. And no matter what you do with your drumming, pretty much, I would say, if you're in the contemporary music world, you're going to spend more time playing that drum beat and variations on it than anything else, man. That's what it's all about. A great example is Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. Number 2 is the triplet feel. This is when we add in one other hit on the hi-hat or the ride per beat, sometimes called the 12/8 feel. Gives you that lovely, rolling, bluesy sort of feel. Goes like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Nice basic drum fill. Triplets. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And drum fill, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. Great example being something like Gary Moore's Still Got the Blues, classic rolling triplet feel blues. When the triplet feel gets faster, it is possible to, I'm not calling this a different drum beat, but just as an aside, it is possible to play it with 2 sticks as you get much quicker. Something like Stevie Wonder's Part-Time Lover. What you do is play it typically a single stroke roll style sticking rather than all 1 stick on the hi-hat, and bring your stick, your left stick for a right hander, across to hit the snare on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that great Part-Time Lover groove. Number 3, the 16th note feel. Now, this is when you've got that lovely sort of driving R&B, pop, funk type of feel. Could be rock as well. 16th notes on the hi-hat. 4 hits per beat. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. And drum fill. Got some nice solid 16ths. So great feel. A good example is something like Prince's Purple Rain. You can, just like with the triplet feel, as you get faster with that one, alternatively play it with 2 sticks on the hi-hat and bring your right stick, if you're right-handed, down to hit the back beat on 2 and 4. So here's a faster 16th note beat. And drum fill. So something disco-y like Le Freak by Chic, or the music of Duran Duran, or like, you know, Mr. Brightside by The Killers, anything that has that lovely, faster 16th note feel. Okay, number 4 is the shuffle. When you're playing a shuffle on your hi-hat or your ride or wherever else, you're playing that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and swung 8th note feel. The and is a little later than it would be in a straight 8s feel. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and this is a shuffle. And drum fill. So really what that shuffle or swung eighth note thing is it's a triplet feel with the middle one missed out. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. At least that's one good way of thinking of it. And so when you get to the fills, very often that undercurrent of triplet feel reveals itself when we just play triplets. You can also play the shuffle pattern itself on your fills. Remember, we're just talking about the very basic version of the groove and the fill here. Okay, number 5 is the half-time shuffle. So if the regular time shuffle was that, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and on the half-time shuffle, the kick plays 1 and the snare plays 3. So it gives the effect of the kick and snare going at half the rate, or being at half the speed. They are going at half the rate. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is number 5, the half-time shuffle. So, lovely groove, one of my all-time favourites, man. And of course, the Purdy shuffle is a thing where you put those ghost notes in there. And of course, people talk about Rosanna and Babylon Sisters by Steely Dan, quite rightly. Amazing examples of the halftime shuffle. I've always loved, to add to that list, You Might Need Somebody by Randy Crawford, and a load of tunes of that nature. Another great one is Grapevine Fire's Death Cab for Cutie. Love that tune. So that's the halftime shuffle. And then we've got the disco feel, number 6. Now, this goes a little bit back to the straight 8s type of feel, but I thought it deserved its own billing. With the disco feel, you've pretty much always got a driving 4-on-the-floor kick drum, and you've got some kind of emphasis on the ands, the upbeat or offbeat quavers on the hi-hat. I'm going to play this here because I think it's the archetypal one as just open, close on the hi-hat. So the open is on the and, you lift your foot up, and the close is on the beat, and you lift your foot down, you drop your foot down. So number 6, disco. Typically, the drum fills are pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I would say quite a lot based on the snare as well. We're generalising a lot here, but just I would say on the whole on the snare, less so. I think of disco as being something where the fills sort of cascade around the kit. Normally, pretty simple, pretty just punchy on the snare. Okay. Number 6 is number 7. Even is the Reggae 1-drop. This is where the snare drum, or the key feature of it, is the snare drum and the kick dropping together on the 2 and the 4. So unlike a straight 8s feel where we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and in the Reggae 1-drop, I'm going to use a side stick here. I'm going to play this with a little side stick. The snare and the kick drop together. The kick shifts to where the snare normally is on the 2 and the 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Often reggae musicians will count that as the 3 as well, just to be aware of that. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. Drummers normally count that backbeat as 2 and 4, don't they? But in reggae, that's often referred to as the 3. That's the Reggae 1-drop. On the fills, it's pretty hard to sum up in a very short amount of time, but I would say one of the big features you can throw in on fills is rather than hitting a crash at the start of the bar of groove, like we do a lot in rock and pop music, although that does happen in reggae as well. One of the great features is hitting the crash at the end of the bar, maybe on beat 4 or the and of beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the Reggae 1-drop. And then lastly, a swing or jazz type of beat. So here we're going to take the dog for a walk. Dog, walk the dog. Walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog. So in the classic version, the kick drum plays a very light 4 on the floor. The hi-hat plays 2 and 4. The snare, could do all sorts of things, but in the very basic version, on obviously you can spend a whole, like you can with all these styles, spend a whole career going off and getting into the variations here. But, I'm very briefly going through the core version of the groove. The snare, perhaps 2 and 4 backbeat, very lightly. And then 2 and 3, 4. And 1, 2 and 3, 4. And dog, walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog, walk the dog. They are the 8 beats, I think. In the jazz thing, you're very likely to do triplety type of fills. Okay, so I'm going to blast through the whole lot. Straight 8's feel. Triplet feel. Just for fun, as we go a bit quicker, triplet feel, 2 hands. Sixteenth note feel, number 3. Sixteenth note feel, 2 hands for when you're going quicker. Shuffle. Great example of the shuffle feel is something like Don't Stop, Fleetwood Mac. And then a halftime shuffle. Disco feel. Reggae 1 drop. And swing. All right, so that's just a blast through, man. And what we do often, and the kind of reason I'm putting all this out here now is, on this channel, I do a lot of grade stuff, right? I do a lot of song demos, I do a lot of stuff where I'm playing a part which is written out, and I love all that stuff. It's a massive part of learning, like wrapping your head around music theory, learning parts note for note. It's just a brilliant way to develop your drumming, exposing your brain to the classics like you do in the grade syllabus. It's great, helps with your vocabulary, helps if you ever need to play those songs, just helps with everything to do with your drumming, your creativity as well, because you're exposing your brain to all those cool things. But a massive part of developing your drumming, and maybe I don't state this enough on this channel because I think sometimes people ask me about this as if this is something I don't do. I definitely do this. A massive part of your drumming is jamming, improvising, right? Of course do this, man. Of course, every session at some point do this. And this is about putting on some music and having a little play along, have a little jam along, right? This is as massive a part of developing your drumming as learning, as playing a part like you do in the grade syllabus, note for note, and as like physical skill development. I think of the 3 things, man, involved in learning the drums, just from my perspective: your head, your heart, and your hands. Your hands are rudiments and physical skills and all that kind of good stuff. All the things you need to do to prepare your body to then play music well, like a sports person, training at the gym to then go onto the pitch and then they can trust their body to perform the things they need to do at that point. That's one side of it, your hands. Then your head is your music theory, learning songs, learning tunes where grades come in a big way. And then this third thing is your heart, your groove, your feel, putting on music and for the sheer love of it, the sheer joy of it, like letting loose and just jamming. And, I like to do this with the structure of musical styles. All right, this is where you come in, please, if you could help me. So what I've done is in each of these 8 sort of feels, they're not really styles of music, each of these 8 feels or 8 types of beat, what I've done is created a YouTube playlist of songs, and these are just the original versions of the songs, And I'd like your suggestions, please, if you can. So for each of these, straight eights feel, triplet feel, and so on, I've created a list. At the minute, it's about 8 or 10 songs or so for each type of beat, for each feel, and that kind of represents some of the songs that I've loved jamming along to in that feel. So please have a look at those playlists, and if you can think of some songs that aren't already on there that really fit the bill for any of those styles that you've loved to jam along to, please let me know. Stick them in the comments below, and what we'll do is we'll add to those playlists as we go along. The main things I'm looking for, and what I've tried to do with the playlist so far, is that it's definitely consistent all the way through. So it's that feel all the way through. For example, in straight eights feel, Billie Jean, obviously it's got that beat all the way through. In I don't know, shuffle, Don't Stop, Fleetwood Mac, mentioned earlier, it's got that shuffle feel all the way through. It doesn't drop in, drop out. It's pretty much that beat in some shape or form all the way through. So that's what I'm looking for, and something that really is that, like, it's not just an element of that or has an overall feel of that, but something that pretty much is that beat. Do you know what I mean? So that'd be really great. If you've got any suggestions, let me know. Please have a look at the playlist first. So the idea is to suggest songs that aren't already on those playlists. And yeah, man, just have a load of fun with it. I can't state this enough. And this actually is something we do quite a lot when people first start playing the drums in the lessons that I teach, face to face and on Zoom now as well. One of the first things we do, honestly, is rattle through these 8 types of beat, and we get a very basic core version going of each one, and maybe a basic drum fill or 2, and then we just stick on some music and we get playing off, and we'll just jam together. Like, I'll play on one kit, especially on the face-to-face lessons. I'll jam on one kit and the student will jam on the other. And this is, to repeat, in my opinion, a massive part of your drumming development. For me, between the years of being about 13 when I started playing and about 17, 18, I basically did this every day. I did all the other stuff as well. I did all the stuff that my teacher set for me. I did my rudiments and my grades and all that stuff, did my grade 8 and all that kind of thing. But what I did loads and loads, which I kind of felt at the time was like a bit naughty or a bit like I shouldn't be doing it. Now I totally get that. I'm so totally pleased that I did. It's just doing this, putting on music that you love, jamming along, getting a feel for it, locking in with it. So getting an instinctive feel for like where a drum fill would come in and punctuate the music and doing all that sort of stuff is absolutely massive. And this is the perfect complement to, and here's a bit where loads of drummers, I think, get the wrong end of the stick. And from the questions I get a lot, I feel like people get the wrong end of the stick with this. This is the perfect complement to learning music theory and being quote unquote a reader and doing grades. It's not an or, it's an and, right? You do both of these things. It's okay to have musical understanding and to be able to jam and groove. Those things are not, you don't have to choose between those things. You can have a musical head and a musical heart, in my opinion. They're absolutely fine. I'd go as far as to say they actually influence and help each other. So an understanding of music theory is great when you're jamming, when you're improvising. You can kind of work with all that understanding that you've got to come up with stuff. If you can jam along with music and you've got a great instinctive feel for groove and how the thing flows and where the instinctively feeling where like one section goes to the next, where a drum fill will come in, that'll help you loads when you're studying pieces and doing theory as well. So I can't repeat that enough. Learning music theory and reading and note values and all that stuff, and jamming, improvising, all that great stuff, they work together. And for me, in every session, you should have a bit of that going on. Basically, head, heart, and hands. So have some rudiment, physical skill stuff, have some like technique stuff, have some head stuff, have some theory, reading, note value stuff, and massively important, I like to do this at the end, have a jam, man. Have a jam and play along with some tunes. So please, let me know any suggestions you have for songs that you think will fit the bill for those playlists in any of those types of beat. And thanks for watching as always. Really appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you do subscribe and you want to get a notification every time I upload a video, which is every day at the minute, please click the little bell icon. Thanks to all the amazing people who've supported this channel on my Buy Me a Coffee support page. I actually need to do a video where I just rattle through everybody, do the shout outs. I've actually got really behind me that because loads of people have been supporting, and I massively appreciate it. People supporting by Buy Me a Coffee, which is great. I appreciate that no end. Need coffee in this game. And also by people signing up as monthly supporters, monthly members. I massively appreciate that. That is the number one thing, man, that helps this channel grow now, which is like crazy. Allows me to spend more time on it, allows me to do more of the things that you want to see, just allows the channel to grow and grow and grow. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. That really does put me in a position to do more and more with this channel and make it more and more useful for you. So that's lovely. I really, really appreciate that. Thanks a million, man. I'll do I'll do a separate video where I shout out everybody who supported. Really, really appreciate that. Thanks for watching as always. If you're not in a position to support, I totally get it. That's cool. I know it's difficult times, weird times. Massively appreciate people watching, sharing, liking, tell your mates, all that sort of great stuff. And please follow Mike Barnes Drums on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And that's it for now, I think. Thanks so much for watching, and send me your suggestions. Thanks so much.